Hi everybody, I wanted to do a quick follow-up on this. This is a image plane setup for your render. So what's important to remember is if I were to zoom back and select all these cameras, and you could imagine me taking photographs of, in this case, Brendan, and I'm picking a picture here, and then here, around his head. This is the image I took over here, and over here, which are represented below me in the front, side, and three-quarter camera. So that's what I'm setting up right here. If I go to the first one, for example, you can see how it's selected there. If I were to grab it again and say select camera using this particular window, you'll see it highlights itself right there. So if I were to move this around, it'll move that camera. So I'm not trying to set up this head. I'm actually just setting up these cameras so that a point, for example, let's just grab a point in space, the front of his nose, let's just say the bottom of his nose is right there. I want to do the same thing on every single point. So I might move, for example, the camera over, this camera, or this camera over a little bit, and say, well, no, it looks like it's a little bit further back, and it's a little bit more rotated this direction. So I'm going to select this camera, and I'm going to basically press S and save a key on it. Now, I've already saved a key on each of these. If I actually look at the camera here, it's got a red marker. Look at the camera here, it doesn't have a red marker because this is my modeling camera, and I've got a camera here. So all these are basically set. So if you actually accidentally start modeling this and you accidentally move it around like this, and oh no, I've lost my place, you can just go and click on this again, and it'll basically snap you back into the spot you were before. Sometimes I even set it up so I can actually move it quickly. So I have a position like this I might want to see quickly. I'll then set a different position by selecting the camera itself, put it at number 2, and then press a key, so at least I can go back and forth between my exact pose and then my new one that I set. For now, if I were you, I'd just stay with one camera set key at position 1, and that will basically make sure that you are always trying to match your cube, or in this case the face, up properly. So that's pretty important. I can move this a little bit closer. Again, select my camera and S. Now you may wonder, how did we do that? So if I were to go and I select the camera itself, in this case I'm selecting, let's say, the front camera, and then I go into my my windows and I grab something called the attribute editor, which is General Editor's attribute editor. It brings up the camera. That's where I set the 64, which is our 40 times 1.6, which because there's a crop sensor. So the focal length of this camera was 64. So that's the exact same camera it would have over here in the front. And then if you scroll down, you'll see the environment image plane where we created it. I can click on it. You can see where then I access that image plane. And that's what you change. Okay? So do that. And then look up the, just give me a second here, look up in a window, look up what I said before, which was this modeling mesh thing, polygon mesh. I typed in polygon mesh layout, or in this case, head mesh layout, and that will bring up a mesh layout. And you can see how mine is starting to work along those lines. At the end of the day, you can see how this one here is much more succinct. They get more complicated, some of them. Like that's obviously, you don't want to do that. You want quads, you want these 4 points. This is a simple one. And you can see how basically all of them have sort of around the eye, around the mouth, and certain muscle groups are starting to get defined. You don't have to be exactly to all these. These are obviously a little bit different. This one doesn't have much detail, frankly, up here. And so that's what I was working towards here. I was starting to add the round here, and you can see I was starting to create those ocular circle mesh layout around the eyes. So continue with that. Hopefully this will give you anything you need that I'm not there. If not, reply to my email and ask me a question, and I'll try and get to it later tonight or tomorrow.